Hello and welcome to Doh Athan. It's a weekly podcast that brings you human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Frontier Myanmar in association with Fondation Hirondelle. Last week, schools across Myanmar reopened after a year of closure, but parents were reluctant to send their children back to school. There have been bombings at schools around the country and hundreds of thousands of teachers are boycotting their jobs. What does it mean for children's education? This story is by journalists from Frontier Myanmar.
Normally, I would send my children to school. I don't want my children to go to school for the time being.
I encourage parents to go to school. I keep my children in school because the school is open when I want it to be open.
Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we did not send our children to school last year, but we may have to send our children to school this year. I no longer send my child to school in this situation.
These are the voices of parents deciding whether their children should return to school in Myanmar. Doh Athan spoke to the parents outside a prestigious school on School Enrolment Day. The school was in a rural town and it's attended by most of the town's children. A few weeks ago, there was a bomb blast at the school which shattered the school windows. Nobody was injured. There has been an increase in violence and bombings around Myanmar, with schools a frequent target. Many parents are worried and don't have confidence in sending their children back to school. At the school we visited, only a handful of students turned up before the bell. Food stalls are gone from the school gates and soldiers and police now provide security at the entrance. When Doh Athan visited a school in another township, some teachers and students weren't wearing any face masks. Some teachers were seen passing around the white and green teachers' uniform shirts outside the school. These scenes are taking place in schools across the country. According to Save the Children, UNICEF and UNESCO, the Myanmar military's deployment in some schools is a serious violation of children's rights. Ma Endra from Yangon decided not to send her two school-aged sisters to school because of the dangers.
Schools became a target and bombs exploded. People don't know exactly who carried out the bombings. It is not safe for the safety of children. How safe can it be for hundreds of children even if there are teachers in school? Military troops are stationed in the compound of the school. Since my younger sister is in 10th grade and is an adult, we're considering teaching from outside instead of sending her to school.
Bombings in schools were a source of anxiety during the school enrolment week. There were several bomb blasts on the first day of school enrolment. According to UNICEF, between February and May, at least 54 attacks against school and school personnel have been reported. There have also been 141 incidents of the military using education facilities for their own purposes. At least 39 of the attacks occurred in the month of May alone, as explosives have become more commonly used. Details of the injuries sustained in the blasts are not yet known. Parents are also worried about the rising prevalence of coronavirus in neighbouring countries, including India and Thailand. The testing rates are very low in Myanmar. Some parents are determined, though, to defend their children's right to education.
If you do not send your child to school, your child will be late for class. When his friends go to class and he leaves, the child will begin to feel emotional. This can lead to lifelong trauma to the child, and your child's learning may be affected.
That's a father who enrolled his third-grade son at a private school in Naypyidaw. He says he's been accused of being a supporter of the military state administration council just because he's sending his children to school.
It is up to the parents to decide whether or not to enroll the child in school. It is up to the parents to decide for the child under the age of 18. It also encourages parents to send their children to school. We don't want to offend others because of their different choices. Parents want their children to think about their children's lives, not just their choices.
Doh Athan, who is sending her child to a government school, is paying a teacher privately to teach her first grade son.
I don't know what will happen all day after I send him to school. I'm worried that if my children apply for vocational college after graduation from university, they will be too old.
When Doh Athan spoke to school children, some of them were worried they would not be able to go to school due to the long school closure and the new system changes. Although wealthy parents hire guides to educate their children, it's not an option for the poorer parents. Doh Athan tried to contact the Department of Basic Education to confirm the security of the children attending the government school and the number of students enrolled, but they could not be reached. The Military Council's own media announced that 388,771 out of more than 1 million possible students in Yangon had enrolled in schools this past week. National figures were not given, and that data could not be verified. However, the Myanmar Teachers Federation estimates that less than 5% of eligible students will be in school across the country, based on data from its affiliates. Parents are also concerned about the quality of education being provided. About half of the more than 400,000 basic education teachers have joined the civil disobedience movement, and they're refusing to work. More than 100,000 of them have been suspended temporarily by the Military Council. The military regime responded by arranging for outside teachers to be recruited. Most of them are not experienced teachers. We spoke with an interim executive at Myanmar Teachers Federation, who is also part of the civil disobedience movement.
We don't
see much of a quality education system. The teachers who are really good at teaching are being fired and have left because of their involvement in CDM. There is no way to replace outgoing teachers with outside teachers. You can only teach if you have a teacher's mind, no matter what course you graduate from. The teachers who have just left are passionate teachers. It is not possible to replace those teachers with the current recruits. Wearing a green and white dress does not make you a teacher. You can only be a teacher if you have a teacher's mind.
One teacher was charged under Section 505 of the Penal Code for participating in the civil disobedience movement.
We
want to fully educate our children emotionally and their attitudes and skills. So if teachers have to accept injustice and hide the truth and teach under instructions, they will not want to do it. That's why I will be involved in CDM until I can do independent learning.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Doh Athan. You can listen to our podcast via Frontier Myanmar's website and Facebook page, and also Doh Athan's Facebook page. Our podcast can be found on SoundCloud, YouTube and iTunes. You can also listen live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. on Voice of America Radio. The project to support human rights reporting is a partnership between Frontier Myanmar and Fondation Hirondelle. It's made with the support of our donors. Thanks for staying with us while broadcasting. Have a good day.